Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad, General Bhardwaj, Dr. Prahlada is gone out, who is the organizer of this conference, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to be addressing this August gathering. I am also very happy that we have amongst us here His Excellency Dr. Azad, who is also a great thinker and a motivator. We in the NDMA have had the benefit of his advice many a time when he was in the office. I do hope that what we discuss today in this conference will be carried forward both in spirit and action, and not only remain an academic exercise as it usually happens with most of these workshops and seminars. Vulnerability-wise, as you all know, India is vulnerable in varying degrees to a large number of natural as well as man-made disasters. 58.6% of the land mass of India is prone to earthquakes of moderate to very high intensity, and almost 30% to very high intensity earthquakes. Over 12% of 40 million hectares of land is prone to floods and river erosion. Of the 7,516 kilometer long coastline, almost 5,700 kilometers are prone to cyclones and tsunami. 68% of the cultivable area is vulnerable to drought, and hilly areas are also at risk from landslides and avalanche. Over and above all this, the danger posed by the man-made disasters, that is the CBRN, that is the chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear emergencies, and also industrial disasters are another menace for which we must prepare. Those living in developing countries are naturally much more adversely affected by disasters as compared to those in the developed world, largely on account of their lack of preparedness, and it is the vast number of socio-economically weak people in India who are the most affected in any disaster. This is the sad part of life, but that is also the reality of life. During the period 1994 to 1998, for example, approximately 120 million people were affected in India by natural disasters, and the economic losses which we suffered during this period were 286,000 million. And however, if you look at a later period of 5 years, that is from 98 to 2003, the number of people affected rose to 560 million, that is 3 times the earlier figure, and the economic losses rose to almost 5,100 million rupees. That is almost double of the earlier figure. Now, what is even more disturbing is, and to which we are not really paying much of attention, is that almost over 4,000 lives are being lost in India every year, excluding the lives lost during the major disasters. Now, that is a very major area of concern. Now, it is the increasing frequency and intensity of disasters, such as the earthquake in Bhuj, super cyclone in Odisha, and tsunami and subsequent disasters, that strengthened the resolve of the central government to engineer a paradigm shift in the regime of management of natural and man-made disasters. The national vision envisages a shift from the erstwhile relief-centric and post-event syndrome to a holistic regime that emphasizes upon measures aimed at hereto neglected domains of prevention, preparedness, and mitigation, as well as enduring efforts for rehabilitation and recovery like it was done post-tsunami. And as a matter of fact, even after the earthquake in Srinagar and even in Bihar, it is now being attempted, and in Odisha also to quite some extent. As a result, Disaster Management Act was passed in December 2005, and new arrangement was set into motion, which had all institutional, financial, and legal backing. Whereas at the national level, the authorities headed by the Prime Minister, at the state level, these are headed by the state chief ministers. And as far as the administrative part is concerned, for that, the state executive machinery is headed by the chief secretary, and similarly at Delhi, the 13 secretaries of the Government of India constitute a national executive committee, and that assists the NDMA in carrying out its tasks. But what is most important is that at the district level, the district authorities are to be headed by the DM with the elected representatives of the people as the co-chairpersons. Now that brings public and people interface in the management of disasters. Well, this has yet got to take off, and I do hope that in near future, as we move along, this arrangement gets well established. Now, it is a well-established truism that disaster mitigation and preparedness are the focal points for management of disasters. This is borne out by the experience of the developed countries suffering far lesser losses in terms of lives and structures as compared to the developing countries. It's for that reason that if you see that countries like Japan, and even the Californian belt of US, where you have earthquakes by dozens almost, I think every 2 to 3 months, the total losses are in terms of buildings which you can count on your fingertips, and in terms of human lives, not more than 8 to 10 people, 12 people dead. Whereas in our case, you can yourself well imagine as to what would be the losses like. Now, it's for that reason that these two aspects of preparedness and mitigation are very, very important. Now, as the apex body of the country, it is also our duty to lay down policies and guidelines, cause plans to be made by the central ministries and the state governments and union territory administrations, approve them and also oversee their implementation. The special areas of our focus are, of course, the preparedness and mitigation aspects. And I'm glad to say that a lot of work in this direction has already started. So far as we are concerned, we have issued guidelines on management of earthquakes, chemical, that is the industrial disasters, formulation of state disaster management plans, medical preparedness and mass casualty management, floods, cyclones, and biological disasters. We have also started recently the work on the formulation of guidelines for the droughts. Also, the guidelines on the nuclear, biological, and chemical disasters, that is an unclassified version, will be released, which will talk more about the safety of the nuclear plants and also the dirty bombs and also the emergency response centers which are being set up under the present dispensation to make sure that should there be any such threat, there is a very reasonably good response. We are also conducting mock exercises in the states, and in the last year, we have run 20 such mock exercises, and these mock exercises have covered all natural disasters and almost all the parts of the country already. In Hyderabad also, that is in Andhra Pradesh, we've already run 2 such exercises, and during 2008 and 2009, 35 mock exercises are being planned, and out of which 15 have already been conducted, and totally they will cover 21 states. The entire idea is that you are well prepared to face or confront any disaster, natural disaster or even a man-made disaster that may strike, because these Mock exercises are covering both aspects. Another very important area, as I have mentioned earlier, is the mitigation projects. We are starting 5 mitigation projects at the national level, and these are cyclone risk mitigation project for 1,600 crores, for which Andhra Pradesh will be one of the major beneficiaries. It covers 5 states and 8 UTs. Earthquake risk mitigation project, which covers all zone 3, 4 and 5 states, total 28 states, and the project will be for 560 crores. Dedicated disaster communication network for the entire country, especially useful for the man-made disasters besides the natural disasters. It will be for 500 crores. And we are also trying to create a national reserve for 400,000 people, so that should a disaster strike anywhere, in the wake of a disaster, you should not be looking for stores to assist that particular state from all over, like we did in the case of Bihar, because we still didn't have these reserves ready. Once these reserves are ready, they will be immediately supplied to any state which has any problem, and they will cater for the needs of 400,000 people. And that is much more than generally is the requirement in any of such emergencies which have recently really struck us. And as regards the preparedness and response is concerned, we have also in the process of operationalizing 8 National Disaster Response Force battalions, 4 of which will be specially geared to confront the nuclear, biological, chemical emergencies. And all 8 will be well trained for natural disasters. 7 of these battalions are already ready, and 80% of their equipment has been purchased. The training has been carried out in all the aspects. So I think by March next year, we should be fully geared to have all these battalions fully functional. We are also in the process of trying to raise 4 more battalions, and one of them, when permitted by the government or sanctioned by the government, will be located in Andhra Pradesh. Another very major area of our concern is the mainstreaming of disaster management into developmental process, so that all the newly built environment is disaster resilient. Now, this is a process that would mean, in nutshell, that before any major project gets approved, that means anything which is above 10 crore of rupees, it must have an inbuilt DM audit. It's like an environmental audit, so that anything which is to come up afresh must be able to withstand the kind of disaster which can strike in that particular region of the country. It's a very important aspect, and I think it will be shortly implemented also. Finally, having said all this, I will also like to emphasize that whereas we will continue to do and are doing our very best to bring about this culture of preparedness in the country, the major players are the states. The finances, of course, will be organized by us, and we will be able to assist in that process. We do request the states to pay much more focused attention to this aspect. Here I am glad to mention that Andhra is one of the much better prepared states in the country. The community preparedness is really to be mainstreamed in all our effort. As a matter of fact, the world over, the famous slogan is that the CBDM, that is the community-based disaster management, forms the bedrock of any disaster management until the community is well prepared, because community is in the forefront of all disasters and they are the first ones to really take it on. They've got to be able to take care of themselves till the time the other responders arrive. I will also like to convey finally my very deep appreciation to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, former stage, like to thank all the scientific, technical and educational institutions of the country who have been a big assistance to us in all our endeavors, and all the academics and the scientists and the technicians who have very willingly come forward to assist us. As a matter of fact, they have been one of the most encouraging aspects of the desire to look in this direction of better disaster management. Lastly, my compliments to Dr. Prahlada and his team for organizing this seminar. I wish the proceedings great success. Thank you very much.